Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. And I am super fired up today. Just got in a phenomenal workout and the energy is flowing and going because why? Motion is lotion, movement is medicine. And I hope you are working out today as well. Maybe you're working out as you listen into today's episode, all about customer service, the customer experience, and what you can do to make sure that your business and your life is better. I want to thank you for joining us for today's show. I have a longtime friend on here today. His name is Hank Ebeling, and we go way back to a 3.5 day mentorship. He's been part of my mastermind, and he does amazing things at his gym over in Chi-Town, Chicago. By the way, anyone enjoy those football games going on here? Super Bowl's coming up, so I'm super fired up. But let me tell you what, when it comes to training, working out, getting your mind right, the last month here in January, this has been the first month. We are just about done with the month of January. Month number 1 is done. And as we kick off into February, simple reminder for all of you with the God-Sized Dreams Planner. February 1 hits, that's the perfect time for you to do your 10 forms of wealth and 3 in 30. So if you have your God-Sized Dreams Planner, get your 10 forms of wealth done, get your 3 in 30 done. The first of the month, it's coming up. Make sure you rock and roll on that. But I want to talk about something that's been near and dear to my heart. In a new economy, a new era, people are crazier than ever, right? People, that's all you hear about if you watch the news. I don't watch much news. I refuse to participate in some of the things that are going on in the news. But I can tell you this, people are a little more cray-cray than ever before. Can I get an amen to that? Anyone? Good. Nice and loud so your whole neighborhood hears you as you're out walking your 4-legged furry friend. People have shorter fuses. They're impatient. They're angry. They demand more. They're preoccupied. Sometimes you walk into a restaurant and you're talking to them and they're like looking at their phone, talking to you like, come on, people, let's get your mind right. So now I walk around with my Get Your Mind Right bands. And I just pass them out like, here's a Get Your Mind Right band. So don't mind me if I'm in your community passing out Get Your Mind Right bands because I'm on this evangelical crusade to help people get their minds right as well as their souls right as well. That brings me to customer service. Man, I want to share in today's episode a couple crazy, funny stories, good and bad, that I'll share with you. And you're going to get a kick out of today's episode. And someone who I've been following and friend with for a long time, Hank Ebeling, I want to say he's the king of customer service because not only does his gym have great customer service like Fitness Quest 10, but he's a small business entrepreneur. And if you're a small business owner or you visit small businesses in your community, you can appreciate customer service, like good customer service. And maybe you're affiliated with a larger brand in any sector, any industry. I believe that today's episode is going to serve of great value for you in a new era, in a new economy, and everything else that's going on, because at the end, it's going to be customer service that's going to create that experience that's going to allow you to win in all areas, especially in business. So check out Hank's background. Hank Ebeling is a small business entrepreneur and the founder and owner of H4 Training in Chicago, Illinois. He's built his career on a passion for customer service and customer experience, and he shares his insights in interviews and conversations with a range of other small business owners in his popular podcast called Success Trails, which I just recorded an episode for him as well. Hank recently authored the book, Crushing the Competition with Service, which is available on Amazon. Check it out. It's good for all businesses and industries. Hank helps transform other small businesses by taking their customer service from good to gold. And as he shares, a huge shout out and congratulations, as Hank is not only happily married, but they just had twin babies, not only 3 months old. But he looks like $1 million on today's episode. So if you're watching, you'll see on YouTube. If you're listening in, let's go out to the one and the only Hank Ebeling. Hank, welcome to the show, brother.
TD, man, I am excited to be on. This is one of my favorite podcasts. You're one of my favorite human beings, and I couldn't be more excited to bring some value to you and, of course, the audience.
Man, how long have we known each other now? It's been a long time.
It's been a while. I got to say, I came to your facility for a 3-day mastermind. That was probably 2010, I want to say.
Wow. Almost 15 years. Yeah, it's going on that decade and a half type thing. And I was out at H4 last year, 2022, meeting and working with Hank and his team. I had a keynote at Benedictine University there, and that was an awesome experience. And then to get to work with Hank and Jordan and your team, man, it was so awesome to be there. And the one thing I've always known about you, Hank, is you are the king of customer service, man. You and your team do an amazing job. And I don't care what industry, what sector one is in. There's a lot to learn from not only H4 and your multiple locations, but what you're doing on all levels. So I want to dive in on that in a moment, on customer service and that. But did I miss anything in your bio? Where, what are some fun things that you're doing these days that are allowing you to thrive?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has a business superpower, if they will, and I like to think myself, it's customer service, it's people, and so I've kind of taken that passion. That's kind of what's grown our business. And then recently, we've had a lot of clients who are entrepreneurs. Hey, what are you doing? How do you get these people to, give such great service? And where do you find them? And how do you build this culture? So I actually recently created a online course to help small business owners do just that after getting asked about it. So I said, all right, I'm a small business owner. I'm in the trenches. Let me try to help other small business owners, because I think that's what we all want to do, right? Help one another and help each other get better. So I kind of dove into that, and actually somebody are very familiar with, Anna and Vito, helping me out with that side of things. So yeah, that's what's ahead here very, very shortly.
Okay. Well, one thing I've learned here in the last 3 years, I'll say, is that customer service stinks in most places, not all places, but I went on a riff in the beginning. You didn't hear that, but in the intro, that I'm fired up these days. I'm a little more fired up than normal because I'm like, what the heck is going on? Sometimes I'll go into a restaurant, I'll go into a shop, and I'm like, man, they could have a robot doing what this person's doing. And certainly in the fitness industry, while many like H4 do an amazing job, if you're in the mastermind, do an amazing job, but there are some folks I'm like, man, there's room for improvement. Matter of fact, I got to share this story because I'm still fired up, and it happened a couple months ago. I was getting fitted for a tuxedo. You think, all right, you're going in for a tuxedo, you're going to get great service. And I got to tell you, when I went into the shop, I will not name the shop. It's not Nordstrom. I'm going to talk about Nordstrom later on. That's a whole different level. I should have just gone to Nordstrom, but I was short on time. The deadlines were tight. I go to this shop, and let me tell you what, I felt like I was doing a disservice to this company. I couldn't have felt less appreciated. I couldn't have felt like they didn't want me in the shop. And if I had another option, I would have went there. And if I could have gotten a hold of the CEO of this shop, I would have said, y'all better do something about your customer service systems, because they stink. And I probably wouldn't use the word stink because it was bad, like really, really bad. So I had multiple type experiences like that. And I'm always scratching my head like, man, it would be such a better business if I went into this shop and I actually felt appreciated and was welcomed and all that stuff. So I don't know. That's one of my many experiences. I don't know. You probably had some as well, but I don't know. I just want to riff about, we're going to get better today. And Hank, you're the man to help us make sure that we're all doing the right things. Does that make any sense, Hank?
It does. And you know what? To kind of shift the mindset, and let's touch on maybe something that's a positive experience, because I think we do kind of tend to focus on those negative experiences. And there is plenty to go around. I mean, you and I could have a whole episode talking about.
I couldn't let that one go. I couldn't let it go. I was like, Melanie, I felt like I would have gone to another shop if I had a choice, but I didn't. Keep going.
And now look at this business. You're on your podcast sharing your message about this business. And now you didn't name names, but think about the opposite. If they would have given you a positive experience, you probably would have used their name and talk about the best advertisement, right? And that's what delivering on an outstanding service and experience is. But yeah, let me just give you a quick example of a recent experience my wife and I had. Not to dive too much off the subject, but my wife recently gave birth in November to identical twin boys.
Congratulations, Daddy.
Well, thank you. They're in the NICU. They're very young, they got to grow and get better. And so our life's very unpredictable. And they're in downtown Chicago at a very well-known hospital. And we had dinner reservations. This was a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And we were looking forward to that night, some time to ourselves, some normalcy. We just needed that time. And we get going on that Friday and things aren't going according to plan. One of our sons is going to have a surgery. All of a sudden our night looks shot, right? We're looking forward to this dinner, 7:45, and it's probably not going to happen because of this event that we weren't expecting. So I call him up. I said, hey, I won't even mention the names, even though it's a positive experience. But is there any way, my wife and I were looking forward to this dinner, that we can just sneak in a little bit earlier? I know it's a Friday night in downtown Chicago. I'm asking for a lot, but we're really looking forward to coming to the restaurant. We've never been there, and it's kind of mean a lot for us to have this date night. And she said, you know what? We don't have a spot, but give me 1 second. Minute goes by. She gets back on the phone. She goes, let me do this for you. I can get you in. It'll be in kind of our lounge area, but I'll make sure you're on a tabletop. You're not just sitting on a couch somewhere. And she goes, in addition to that, let me put you on the wait list to get a table at that time. I can't promise you anything, but let's just see what we can do. So hangs up the phone. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And we show up, has the table, and she goes, but you know what? I know you really wanted to sit in our dining room, kind of elevate that experience. She goes, I was able to get a table for you. I was able to get one of the better tables in the house for you. Huge, right? I mean, that's just a little example, but so many lessons can be learned off of that, which was, she didn't tell me no. She didn't tell me what we can't, get, if you will, but she found a way to make it happen. And then she communicated very clearly with me, hey, this is what we can do for you. And if this opens up, we'll make it happen. And so to our surprise, our delight, they came through. So that was a perfect example of that could have went one way, really disappointed us, kind of took a night that was already uneasy, chaotic, and made it probably even.
Yeah. Right? And how did that make you feel? How did that impact your night?
It made us both feel amazing. I mean, we needed that so bad. So that was one of those things I know I went and shared on like my social media. I told a bunch of people I know, hey, if you haven't been there before, you got to check this place out, because the food was great, but the service, I mean, they took care of us in a time when we needed it. So I just wanted to share that because it was recent. And this girl was young. I mean, hostess, she's probably 21, 22. And she clearly was taught properly on how to handle a situation like this. And that just shows you that fine line between making an experience for somebody or, taking that experience away from somebody.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, because it really changed the trajectory of your evening and your mood and your emotion and your relationship. Because if that didn't happen and you're cranky and you and your wife are sitting there eating dinner, the dinner would not have tasted as good if you're complaining, and you would have just been eating it and shoveling it down your mouth, and versus almost being able to breathe and relax and enjoy each other's company in that time. I'm always searching and seeking, how do we have more of those experiences? And to your point, you went out and you advertised for them by putting them on your social media stories and talking about them on your podcasts and everything, that you did from a simple experience. Because even if this woman couldn't solve the issue, it's how she made you feel. She was doing her best to meet your demands and go above and beyond. So at least you felt like she's doing everything she can. And sometimes you can't make things happen, but they feel like you're doing your best to try to warrant what the request is. So I want to dive into, you've got some customer service principles, and I want to just go through 4 or 5 of those principles perhaps today that you can share that are ubiquitous across all lines. And it doesn't matter if you work for a police department, in the medical care system, you're in the retail, restaurant, fitness, you're an attorney, whatever form of business or industry you're in, these are principles that you've established for H4 training and any other business that you're probably going to be involved with. So can we just dive in and share a few of those, and we'll discuss them?
Yeah, let's go for it. So the key with these is they need to be very simple and easy to understand, because the whole idea is that when you bring someone on board with you, that you're going to teach them these service standards, if you will, these service principles, and you're going to then hold them accountable to these standards, right? That's the key. You can teach them these, but then if you don't hold them accountable, what good does it do, right, for your business? So here's just a couple. We have 13. If you can create for your business somewhere between 8 and 10, 8 and 12, I think you're in a good spot. But let's start with just a few. And number one is, I want to kind of blast and myth bust, if you will, or just tell you to rethink what's often known as the golden rule in customer service, which is treat others how you would like to be treated. Treat others how you would like to be treated. I'm sure we've all heard this before, right? Like, well, what would be wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with that is
ignore that.
I'm telling you to ignore that.
Wow. Okay. Ignore the golden rule.
Ignore the golden rule. Why? Because you are not your customer. You are not your client. They are them, right? They are not you. So I like to flip it and say, treat others how they, not you, they, right? Because it's not about you when you serve, it's about them. So treat others how they would want to be treated, because at the end of the day, it is about them and it's not about you. So you could reframe this and say, hey, let's call it the platinum rule, right? Maybe instead of the golden rule. So that's something that we teach, and it really drives home the point that serving others is not a selfish act. It's not a me thing. It's all about them, and that them is your customers and your clients.
Go a level deeper on that. I'm curious, because I'll just share, when I go out, if I'm going to go out to a nice dinner with Melanie, or if I'm going to go to a resort or a hotel, I want to stay at a nice place and feel like, man, it's nice to step away, whether it's a world-class resort or you're eating exquisite food. And I want to feel like $1 million. Don't most people want to feel like that? So I'm curious, and you're saying, meet them where they're at, treat people how they want to be treated. I'm trying to get a mindset of, all right, if I want to be treated world class, I think all people want to be treated world class. Bring me just one level deeper, an example or story, Hank, about how maybe I want to feel this way, but maybe they want to experience something different.
Yeah, think about it not necessarily as not everyone wants to be world class, but think of it more from a individual perspective of, hey, you know what? Maybe Todd isn't a guy that wants small talk, and when you're dealing with him, he doesn't want this small talk. So if I'm giving you world class service, and you don't want to be, hey, this small talk and back and forth, treat me, just get to the point. Tell me what I need, or what you're doing for me, or what service you're delivering. So think of it more that standpoint versus, well, this guy wants world-class service and this person doesn't.
Right.
Hopefully that kind of makes it a little bit more clear.
That's interesting, because everyone wants a world-class experience. It's almost interpreting their personality, right? And almost like the 5 love languages of, do they feel appreciated, or words of affirmation? Is it gifts? Like, what makes them feel like they are world class? Some people, as you mentioned, want to talk, and some people just want to do their work, and some people want to be heard. And that's I like that. Okay, I like where you're going with that. What's another one?
Second one, and this is, many of you probably have heard this, but often just kind of getting forgot, which is names, right? Everybody loves the sound of their own name. And I think a lot of times we just kind of go the generic route, right? Good morning or thanks, versus just that small little insertion of good morning, Todd. Thank you, Todd. Todd, what do you need from me? Todd, it's been a pleasure working with you, versus just, it's been a pleasure.
Agreed.
So using those names and using them as much as you can in your interactions, whether you're somebody like Todd and myself who has a brick and mortar space and dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, or maybe you have an online business and it's just simply going back and forth via email, but use that person's name as much as possible, just because it personalizes it and doesn't give that very generic experience that, hey, is this going just to me? Are they speaking just to me? Or is this kind of a masses type of a thing?
What about if you're bad at remembering people's names? What do you do then?
Then I got some tips for you.
Talk to me.
So tips, we teach all our new hires this, which is number one, it's the old school way to remember, which is if you can, and you're in that opportunity, shake that person's hand, say their name 3 times in your head, right? That's kind of old school, but you might say, well, I'm not visually there. I'm not in person. Second thing you could do is associate that individual with some sort of characteristic. So you could say, Bill, he's tall. He always wears a Chicago Bears hat. He's super loud. Some sort of characteristic trait that you can associate that person with totally help you. And then last, try to associate them with somebody else that you know with that name. Todd, just like my neighbor growing up, Todd, got it. Jennifer, just like my, high school sweetheart, Jennifer, whatever you can do, just associate it. So those are probably the 3 easiest ways to remember names.
Yeah, no, that's good. I have something I call collecting coins. Collect coins. So when you meet somebody, you collect coins. What are coins? Well, when I meet someone, or if it's a client of mine and I'm working with them, I collect coins. In my note section of my phone, I put not only the person, their name, but also they're telling me about how their daughter, has a soccer game this weekend for this surf cup or whatever the tournament name is. And I'll write these in my note section. So the next time I see them, I can ask about their daughter or their son and what that is, because like, oh, she or he remembered that my daughter's name or my son's name, and you're collecting coins, and those coins collect because the more you can remember, because frankly, when you meet a lot of people, it's hard, at least for me, maybe I'm the only one, to remember everyone's names. They're like, oh, you're so good at remembering people's names. No, I'm not. But I will collect coins, or I'll ask, I'll say, to your point, old school, I'll continue to say their name. Hank is wearing a maroon shirt, and he's got a beard, and I'll put that in there so I can remember their names as well. But I always say that the person's name, first and last name, is the sweetest thing they'll ever hear in the English language. And when you call someone their first name, they feel special. Most people don't get called their name very often. So that's a must. At Fitness Quest 10, part of our guiding customer service principles is we always greet people by name when they leave and have a fond farewell when they leave. The more you can say their name, the better. So I always reintroduce people. I've reintroduced people 25 times because I don't know if my trainer knows their name. And they're like, you've introduced me to them 800 times. But it's good because I know I forget names. And I love when people reintroduce me to people because sometimes I forget names. So, and let me give a point on that. Please, this is for everyone. When you're at a social function and you see somebody, even if you think they remember your name, go up to them and say, hey, it's good to see you, Bill, Todd Durkin, or whatever your name is. Like, don't say Todd Durkin, say your name. And because what happens is sometimes people just come up to you and talk to you. And you're like, what's their name? What's their name? What's their name? What's their name? You wish they would have said, hey, Todd, great to see you. Sally again. Oh, I'm like, darn, what's her name? And you're thinking, what's her name the whole time she's talking? So you're not listening because you don't know what their name is. So I'm always like reintroducing myself to people simply so they'll tell me their name again as well. So God forbid there's someone forgot. It's just really good etiquette so that then you can use their name in the conversation. So anyway, so I digress. Hank, back to point number, what was it, 3?
Yeah, we're on 3. So 3 is what's called world stops mentality. And this means whatever is going on between you and a coworker or somebody you're with, as soon as a customer or client comes within your sight, they deserve your attention. They deserve your focus, your respect. So that conversation no longer matters unless something ridiculous is happening that deserves your attention, which I highly doubt. And let's hope that's not what's happening. But your focus immediately shifted to that customer or client. So like for us, we're in fitness space, like yourself, whatever you do, wherever you're at, you drop what you're doing with that employee, coworker, bam, focus goes to Todd. He just walked in the door, and not just partial focus, not just kind of a glance, but are you coming to attention, right? Are you standing if you're behind a desk? Are you greeting them? So we like to call it world stops mentality, which means that person comes in the door, that person jumps on a call with you, whatever the case may be, they are getting your full and out attention because they're the most important person.
Does that come naturally to you, or have you been trained in that?
Both.
Okay.
Actually, early in my career, if anyone's familiar with Canyon Ranch Spa, the famous spa.
If they're not, they better be.
worked at Canyon Ranch in the Venetian Hotel in Vegas. And one of my first managers, she was on cruise ships. She was extremely hardcore when it comes to hospitality and service. And so I learned early on with her what that meant. Hey, somebody's coming in, walking through these doors. That's your focus. So naturally, but also early on in my career was kind of guided that way.
Yeah. I asked that question because I don't think it's as easy for everybody to do that. By trade, I was a quarterback, so I'm always scanning the field. I'm always like looking around. So I'm pretty good at, I could be with someone, see something in the corner of my eye, and then if they come in, is to turn my attention, shift my attention to do that. But I also think there's personalities where you're so locked in on someone when you're working with them that you might miss the peripheral vision, so to speak, that you don't really have a recognition or awareness of what's happening around you. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a great point you make, because when you're aware of, I like the world stops mentality, is to be aware of when other people come into your energy sphere, that you can at least acknowledge them, right? And maybe introduce who you're working with and helping out to the other person. I think that's good, whether it comes naturally to you or you've got to work at it. I think that's one thing we've done really well at Fitness Quest 10 over the years, is that world stops mentality. I'm always like, if you're at the front desk and you're sitting down, I don't care what you're working on, stand up, greet them, smile, right? Because the smile is so important, and you have about 7 seconds to make that first impression. So world stops mentality is absolutely right. I like that. How about one more?
Last one would be, this one's borrowed from Disney, right? But I think it's super important, which is be on stage. Somebody's always watching you. They're always seeing what you're doing, how you're interacting, how you're reacting. So have a mentality of, I'm on stage. The minute I walk through wherever I work, or it could be an online virtual space, whenever I get into my realm, I need to be on stage. If I need to deliver world-class customer service and a world-class experience, I have to approach it that way if I want to carry that on. Yeah,
no, that's good. I love the Disney example. I always laugh, because has anyone been to Disney lately? Anyone? I hope you got some Disney execs listening in. But it's interesting because Disney, what do they always say? It's the what place on earth? The happiest place on earth. I'm not sure about you, but if you've been to Disney lately, it always ain't happy when you're the parent walking around with kids and you're just dicing out, hundos all over the place. And there's lines that are an hour and a half long. I tell this story all the time. I'll share it here on the podcast. I think for the first time ever, I share it on a pod, is years ago. We were at Disney, and Luke, Brady, McKenna were small, and they're playing rock, paper, scissors for like the 500th time on this log flume ride. And all of a sudden they stop, and Brady turns to me and says, Dad, Luke and I have been talking. We like you better at Disneyland. I'm like, you like me better at Disneyland? What are you talking about? He said, Dad, ever since you've been here, you've been holding mom's hand. You've been laughing. You've been playing rock, paper, scissors. You've been throwing us in the pool. And here I am. I'm like, those son of a guns. Little do they know inside, I'm miserable because I'm throwing out money. It's hot. Everyone's cranky. People are so just unfit. Like everyone's in wheelchairs. And I'm like, wait, they like me better at Disneyland. Well, the point was this, it was about time. And they felt like I wasn't on the phone all the time. And it was that experience that Disney created. Because I got to be truthful here, Hank. I saw Snow White smoking a cigarette behind the curtain. Sorry, but Snow White was smoking a cig behind the curtain. So you Disney execs, you can call me on my cell. I'll tell you all about it. But here's the bottom line. You say it's a stage because she wasn't on stage. She was behind the curtain. And I think Disney does a great job in creating that theatrical experience because the kids think it's the most happiest place on earth. And sometimes the parents are like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like it's not. But I've said this for years at FQ10, 23 years. We try to be Disney and create this great experience. But sometimes behind the scenes, man, it's chaos. Sometimes I'm not happy. Sometimes someone's not happy. Sometimes we're putting out fires. Yeah, so if you're like, oh, everything's always perfect over there, and not. It's not. But when it's showtime, it's showtime. Sometimes when you're a coach and the week of practice was absolutely atrocious and horrible, and you've got to go showtime, and all of a sudden it's got to come together when the lights go on and the people are in the stands, you got to go. So I think it's a great point you make, Hank, about that. When it's showtime, show up. And when things aren't right, they rarely are, just so y'all know, they rarely are just exactly as we want them on that. So it made me think of the Disney experience back when, hey, Dad, we like you better at Disneyland. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I don't want to be here any longer than I have to be. But they were having a great time. And when Walt Disney said, the happiest place on earth, they've done a great job branding their culture so that they can teach their systems to their employees, what do they call them, cast members, so that cast members could deliver the experience to moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, and most importantly, the kids to create that phenomenal experience. So thank you for sharing that. That's good. Any takes on that, Hank?
It's funny that you say that because that's supposed to be their whole thing, right? Is that you don't see them behind the curtain smoking the cigarette. And
sorry, I wasn't supposed to go behind the curtain, but I just kind of happened to find myself peek behind, and there she was.
But to your point too, is that's what we're all trying to create in our businesses, right? Which is that's magical exactly right. place, a place that is not like probably most people's regular lives that's happening, right? They hate their job or they're stressed at home or work, whatever's going on. So be that place. Let your business be that place for somebody, because probably somebody's not going to leave you in your business if you're giving them that place that can be their happiest place.
Yeah. Hank, I want to add 2 more to your 4. I know you have 13, but I want to add 2, and then we'll wrap it on up. But this is an important one for number 5. Meet the unexpected needs of your customer, client, or member. Meet the unexpected needs. What do I mean by that? Unexpected, unspoken needs of what your people want. How do you see what your client or customer wants without them saying a word? Let me give you an example. Many years ago, for the first time, I stayed at the Ritz-Carlton. I don't know if you ever stayed, guys, at a Ritz-Carlton or not. If you have not, do it. This one experience forever changed my life. We were having an Under Armour training team meeting in Denver, Colorado. My wife, Melanie, was with me. I get out of the car at the Ritz. Just getting out at the Ritz, you feel like $1 million. Get out of the car. There's a red carpet. And as I'm walking to the front desk, I hear, "Welcome to the Ritz, Mr. and Mrs. Durkin." I'm like, oh, they know our name at the Ritz. I'm starting to strut the aisle, Hank, like I'm coming down here. I keep hearing, "Welcome to the Ritz, Mr. and Mrs. Durkin." You just said earlier on, when you get called your first name, your chest swells out a little bit. You feel a little better. All of a sudden, I'm walking down the red carpet, Ritz-Carlton, Denver, Colorado. Man, I felt like $1 million. So I check in. I go over to the concierge afterwards. I say, "Excuse me, I have a question for you. I just got called my name 13 times in my entrance to the Ritz. How do y'all do that?" He said, "Oh, it's part of the Ritz-Carlton mystique." I said, "Oh, come on, don't give me that. What, how did you do that? How did you know it was me getting out of the car?" That's part of the mystique. So all of a sudden, this is what I say to him. I said, "Is it true that on you is your Ritz-Carlton customer credo card?" And he leans back and says, "Oh, how do you know about that?" I said, I'll tell you how I know about that, because I was in Chicago once at a bar eating some dinner, and I was sitting next to a chef from the Ritz-Carlton, and he shared with me the story that the CEO of the Ritz-Carlton every single day leaves a short voicemail to over 30,000 employees on one of their customer service standards. And one of the standards is we meet the unspoken and spoken needs and intentions of every single guest. And he looks, he says, yeah. I said, is it true you have, and it has to be on you at all times? He said, yes. I said, do you have yours on you? He said, yes. I said, can I see it, please? I literally asked him, can I see it? The guy's looking at me like I'm crazy. But hey, it was a spoken request. He takes out of his pocket, his Ritz-Carlton customer credo card. And I lift it up, and if you're not watching on YouTube right now and you're listening, I take the Ritz-Carlton customer credo card and I'm staring at it. And he's talking to me, but I don't hear a word he's saying because I'm trying to memorize the whole thing on his card. I'm looking at it, he's talking to me, and I see all the customer service credos and the customer service and all their different things on there. And he says, is there anything else I can help you with? I said, yeah, you know what? I'm actually in the fitness business. This was like 2007. I said, I'm in the fitness business. And in the fitness business, customer service stinks. I want to be more like the Ritz-Carlton. I want Fitness Quest 10, my gym, to be more like the Ritz-Carlton. I want to have this credo, and I want to have service standards and values. And right now we just expect that. He said, I agree. I think that would be awesome. That's all that was said. So fast forward a couple minutes. I check in. I go up to my room. I'm unpacking Melanie and I, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. Room service. Like, room service? I didn't order any food. Oh, one of the things on there was he sees these spoken and unspoken intentions. He actually saw that I was hungry, and he ordered a burger for me. So I look in the little hole, and there's this guy with a white glove, silver platter. Remember, like it was yesterday. The impression of looking through, I'm like, man, this guy is so good. And this is replicated worldwide. So guy says, room service, comes in, puts the tray on my bed. And Hank, guess what's in the platter? Not a burger, not fries, not a salad, nothing, no food. And I was hungry. It was the Ritz-Carlton customer credo card. The Holy Grail he was delivering for my taking. Why? Because he saw me staring at this saying, I want this. He saw that. I never asked him for it. I didn't say, can I have this? He saw it. Let me tell you what, the Ritz-Carlton had a fan in me forever because of that experience. You can bet your bottom dollar that when I got on that plane going back, that I was creating the Fitness Quest 10 Credo card. You can bet that at the next team meeting, I started to work with my team on, hey, we're going to have a credo and our customer service values and what we stand for. And Hank, you just shared several of the 13 that are on yours. These are ones I pass along now as well. But you must. I don't care what industry, what sector you're in. If you see someone in pain, if you see someone want something, you've got to detect it, because nowadays, most people don't just verbally tell you they want something. It's how their posture is. It's their body language. It's what they're saying without verbally saying it on that. So you got to be an expert at reading that so you can meet the expected and unexpected, spoken and unspoken intentions that every client and every member wants. Any points on that, Hank?
If I can, could I share a story from within our business that kind of goes along those lines?
Sure.
So this was probably about 5-6 years ago. We had, whether you're talking about customers or clients, sometimes you get those ones that are just like, man, if I could just bottle them up, they're just so perfect, right? And that's what this woman was. Her name was Julie. And since she's moved on and moved out of state, but she was one of those, every day she came into our gym, man, her energy was like this, the sweetest person, the nicest person, always good, positive vibes. And one day she comes in, this is about 6-7 in the morning, just not herself. You could tell she was down, just slouched shoulders, just like, what's the matter with her? And she shared with us at the beginning, this morning's been chaos. My kids are going nuts. My dog's going crazy. I got this huge presentation tonight at work and I'm super stressed and the morning's just getting away from me. And I didn't have a chance to go get my coffee. And you guys know when I don't have my coffee, I'm just not right. And so my day's ruined. She's basically just letting it all out there on us. And so we're just kind of listening, absorbing. And so she continues on with the workout, time's going by. And the last 15 minutes or so, I looked at one of our team members and I said, hey, run to Starbucks. We know her order. We know she doesn't even have to tell us. We know it. We know that's the missing link here. So goes, runs, comes back. She finishes up her workout, getting a little stretch in, and she walks to the front desk. There it is. That Starbucks cup right on the counter. We even drew a little smiley face on there, put her name on it. And she kind of looks twice like, what is this? Is this for me? You would have thought probably we put a stack of hundreds on the desk, right? She was just kind of like what?
Right.
And we say, Julie, this is for you. I mean, your day's ruined without your coffee. We know this, and you got a huge day ahead of you, and we want you to be your best. And I mean, she was blown away, like a what? $2.50 gesture. I mean, well, at Starbucks, maybe it was probably about $5. But the point is that it was a small gesture, just like you said. She didn't have to say, I need coffee to make my day, but we just knew it. And later that day, what did she do? Much like you with the Credo card, she posted on social media, how awesome is my gym? Look what they did. They made my day. So much like your story, it's just sometimes you just have to look for those moments. And it doesn't mean every time somebody looks like they want a Credo card or needs a cup of coffee, you got to go buy it for them. But you just got to teach your team to look for those moments. Yeah. And when they do show up, you have to act on them.
That's it.
And that's what we're both talking about here.
Classic example, Hank. I love it. Right. And you made her day. You spent $5 or less. And now you have a happy customer she had her cup of coffee and she's excited, and the world shifts and changes because of that. Next one, number 6 here. I just want to touch on this because I read a book years ago called Reinventing the Wheel by Chris Zane. And I'm pointing this customer service tip is, I'll call this the lifetime value of a customer. The lifetime value of a customer, because Chris Zane in this book, Reinventing the Wheel, this guy owned a bicycle shop. The whole point of the book is don't count pennies to make dollars, in the sense of if someone's upset with you, mad at you, or you can go above and beyond to your point about, a cup of coffee, you want to make sure that you don't short yourself in the short term, knowing that you could lose a customer in the long term, because when you look at the average value of a customer member in your business, I don't know, it depends what industry you're in. But let's say someone is in the fitness business and a membership cost, I'll just say, I don't know, $300 a month. Get your platinum level membership. Y'all just upgraded your membership. Whoa, TD. Yeah, $300 a membership, right? So do the math. How much is that per year, right? So that's $3,600 a year that person's worth in a monetary standpoint. Well, let's say they stay with you for 10 years. Well, we've had clients now that are spending way more than that, and been with us for 23 years. So you think I'm going to count pennies because I can make someone happy because we haven't done something? You've got to understand that every client that you have at any level, if they're not bringing a lot of money in, or they are bringing, they're all treated that if they're going to stay with you for life. People are like, hey, do you try to have people stay with you for life? Yeah, I'm trying to deliver a value that's going to improve the quality of their life and being in business, depending on what program, if it's Fitness Quest 10 or TDE, because I want to help them and serve them and make their life better. So when you understand the lifetime value of a customer, I'll never forget that. Like everyone, I'm like, okay, well, if you can continue to deliver a value that goes well beyond the $3,600 a year that they're investing in you, well, think about that. It shifts the way you're like, I'll empower anyone at the front desk to say, if you need to gift someone a massage to make them happy, gift them. I don't care what it costs. You never want anyone angry out in the community saying that they don't like you. Because if someone likes you, they'll tell 5 people. If they don't like you, they'll tell 30. Fact, my friends, fact. If they like you, they'll tell 5. If they don't like you, tell 30. Why? Because people like to quack. I know all of you Mind Right Maniacs and podcast listeners, that's not you. But in the world out there, when they don't like something, they'll tell 30. Now, I know all of you are like all sharing the podcast, the Impact Show. And all. Thank you. Thank you. Because you're one of the chosen few, baby. One of the chosen few. But understand the lifetime value of a customer and then make sure your team is empowered to do whatever it costs so that you have people that are raving fans. You want raving fans. So point number 6 is, you want raving fans, and you do anything it costs to make sure that they stay happy, because you know the lifetime value of a customer far exceeds the cost of not making someone happy. What do you think, Hank? You like that one?
I do, and I'll second. That is a great book. I believe he also talks about in there, like when somebody would bring a bike in, if it was under a certain dollar amount to fix it, or they just need a little minor part, he wouldn't be petty and charge them. It would just be, it would be on the house. And most places would say, well, why would I give that away for free? Why? Because it's so minor in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. It makes me think of, have you ever heard about the $6,000 egg? Have you ever heard that story?
No.
We're short on time, so I'll be super brief. But essentially, there's this husband and wife, and they go to this restaurant on a regular basis. They're one of the best customers, and they go to their workout. They go to this place and eat. Usually always have a burger, his wife, burger with an egg. Well, one day they go into this restaurant, and they're looking at the menu, and they see there's this special. There's a waffle with an egg on top, something fancy. And anyways, they look over and they go, all right, we'll get the usual. Let's get the burger. My wife loves the burger with an egg. Well, the server goes, we're not going to be able to do that. We can't do the egg for her. And he goes, well, why not? It's something we get. He goes, well, the special today has an egg, and we need to conserve those eggs for the special. And the guy looks at the server and goes, well, what do you mean? I mean, we're regular customers. You can't just take an egg and put it on the burger. Like, right. It's not, is it just allocated? And the server said, well, it's an expensive item, and we want to make sure we have enough because it's the special. And he said, again, he looks at the server and says, so you mean to tell me somebody like my wife and I who come here on a weekly basis are less important to you than somebody who might come in here once and order a special and never be seen again? And so the server goes back and asks the cook, and the cook, because they're not empowered, say, well, we just can't do it. Comes back out. Let me speak to the manager. I know the manager. We come here all the time. The manager comes over. Oh, hey, sorry, you guys, we just can't do it. And the guy one more time says, around the corner is a store. You mean to tell me somebody, if you really can't give us an egg, go over there. What's it going to cost you? 20 cents to put an egg on my wife's burger? And she said, I'm sorry, we just can't. And the guy and his wife literally get up, leave, and that's the last time they're at that restaurant ever again. And It's called the $6,000 egg, because their lifetime value to that restaurant, they spent about $6,000 a year. And that restaurant lost that money over a 20, 30-cent egg. And that just speaks to your point. And what do you think those people did? They went and told everybody about that. So yeah, it's don't be petty, because it comes back and gets you.
Yeah, you got to please people, whatever you can do to make sure people are happy. It makes me think, one of the reasons why I love Nordstrom. I should have an endorsement with Nordstrom, because let me tell you what, I learned years ago that if you want great customer service, you go to Nordstrom, and they never disappoint. And I don't know about you all, I like free things every now and then, like to the point of they put a hanger. When I buy a shirt, they put a free nice wooden hanger. I don't know why, but I really like the wooden hangers at Nordstrom. And I go back, because every time I do something like that, they just put a darn hanger in there. And now all my plastic or wire hangers in my closet have these nice Nordstrom hangers. And it's like, I like it. It feels good. And I don't know what a wooden hanger costs, but it's far less than the shirt or the pants or the jacket that I just bought. I'll call up my man over Nordstrom. I'm like, hey, I'm sliding into Nordstrom. I got an event coming up. And can you put some things aside? I show up and there's 5 shirts there and everything else. He packs it up. Boom. I'm out. customer service galore. So now when we at TDE, we fulfill orders, if you guys have ever ordered anything like hoodies or shirts or things, you probably get a couple little swag things like some bands and some free little goodies, as long as we fulfill them and not a fulfillment company, which we have a couple things like our planner and journal don't always go through us. But if it's like apparel, we fulfill it. And we fulfill it. And we put some goodies in there to surprise people. Like, oh, a handwritten note and some swag. Guess what? It makes people feel good and special. I like that. That's how I want to feel. And I want people to feel like, oh, that's not only did I invest in a gray hoodie, which obviously is obligatory, you feel good in that. But then when you put the impact band on, the Get Your Mind Right band, or you get a handwritten card, all of a sudden it's like above and then some, and then some. So, man, oh man, I'm at 7, number 7. I have to say this, and then we'll wrap. Point number 7 is this: the customer is not always right. I always want to say it. The customer isn't always right, but you need to make them feel like they're right. Can I get an amen, anyone? Like sometimes you know that they're not right. But people, as I stated in the beginning, are sometimes a little crazier than ever. We got people that are a little more demanding than ever. Some people are a little cray-cray. They're walking around angry, ticked off at the world. And like, it doesn't matter what you do or say. Sometimes they are not right. Like sometimes you know that they didn't book a massage at the hour that they're coming in, and they're upset and you can't get them in for the massage, and they're angry and you're doing everything that you can. And then they leave, and then they call you back a couple hours later and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I screwed up. It was the next Thursday that I was supposed to be in. I'm sorry, I lost on you. They're not always right, but you got to make them feel like they're right as well. So if that's ever you and things go awry, obviously, sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes you make mistakes. That's part of it. But you want to make your customers, your members, your clients feel like they're right, and make them feel like they're $1 million, because we're talking about human interaction here. Hank Ebeling, thank you so much. Any final points for our people today?
Yeah, I want to give 2 quick things. One is a test you can run with your team if you have a team. And okay. I can't remember who I learned this from, but it's called the Weatherman test, right? Weatherwoman test. But essentially what you do is, if someone were to call your team, and you can do this, call your own team.
I've done this.
You have, right? And you ask them, what is the weather in blank? And you're thinking, well, wait, we're not a weather channel. We're not a weather service. Well, you're doing this because you want to see if somebody is asking them something, even has nothing to do with your business, that your team is going to go out of their way to solve that problem or get that piece of information. And if that person on the other line, your team member, is like, you have the wrong number, or that's not what we do here, hangs up the phone, that is a problem. So it's called the Weatherwoman test. Sounds like you've heard of it.
Well, not that one. I would do one where similar. I'd be on the road. I'd call my team, especially to a new hire, and I would disguise my voice. It's kind of like a hidden shopper, and I'd be like, "Excuse me, this is Smedley Rudenbaker. I'd like to schedule a massage for this afternoon." And then they could tell like they didn't know who it was. And they start asking me the questions. I want to know if they're asking the right questions. You prefer a male or female therapist? Do you have any specific injuries I need to know about? I'm like, no, I got some bad knees and a back, but I'd love to get in there this afternoon if we could. Is there any way I can get in the next hour or two? And they'd be like, they'd be shuffling around, and I go on and on for a few minutes. The next thing I know, I'm like, Julie, it's Todd. It wasn't Julie, because Julie always knew, but it was so much fun. But I want to see how they reacted on the phone. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just the only cray person doing like secret shoppers to your own staff. But I used to do that, have fun with it, and joke around. Next one.
I'd say try both those. The second one would be, hey, leave you with this message, which is, customer service, the customer experience. People don't think of it as a revenue generator for their business, right? And so many of our businesses, it's a revenue detractor, right? You get so focused on, let me run Facebook ads, let me get new people, let me get more people. And meanwhile, the back door, people are leaving because the experience sucks, right? So before you start worrying about getting new people in the door, how about you take care of the ones you have? And that includes your internal customers, which is your team. So that's what I'd like to end with. Hey, at the end of the day, out care your competition. It sounds sometimes cheesy. It sounds maybe soft to some people, but at the end of the day, they can take whatever you do, they can mock it, mimic it, but they can't take your ability to care about your customers and your clients. So that's what I want to leave them with, is just have that mindset, out care the competition.
That's a great point, Hank, and a great reminder. The stats on that are that 90% of most revenues are coming from existing clients or members. 90% are coming from internal. Many times our focus goes on the external at the expense of the internal, when all we need to really do is make sure that those 90% of those revenues that are coming in now, you take care of your existing clients and members, customers, because when you do that, what happens? Word of mouth, WOM, word of mouth. They go out and become those raving fans. While there are more sophisticated ways to market, obviously we want to make our existing clients marketeers for our business. So remember, 90% of your revenue is probably coming from existing customers. Well, you don't want to lose them, to your point, at the expense of going out and always having to find new people. Because if you always go out and fishing for new people, man, it's just like a teammate. It's the cost of turnover is high. You ideally want to keep your people on as long as you possibly can and keep them growing and learning, which is a whole nother discussion on that. So I really like that point about making sure that your culture is so buttoned up that your culture breeds great world-class customer experiences. And when I talk about many times here, it's a brand new economy, new era, and new incredible experiences. Really, it's the experience of the culture that the leader, the leaders, and every single person who's on the team carries on. So Hank Ebeling, thank you so much. If someone wants to follow you, get more information about all the great things that you're doing, where's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, social media is a great spot, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Just add Hank Ebeling, last name Ebeling. Love to hear kind of what you're doing. If you need any help with customer service, customer experience, like I said, rolling out a course designed just for small business owners soon. So love to help you out in any shape or form, or just simply connect. I think it's always great to connect with like-minded small business owners. So yeah, love to chat with you.
Yeah, you guys always know I'm always make sure you clean up your feed, have good stuff on your feed, get rid of toxic accounts and have good accounts. Hank Ebeling has a great account. When he says, please follow me, I want to encourage you, please follow him. If you want to become, maybe not only you're already probably really good at it, but if you just want to refine some of your skills and some ideas, he fills his feed with great customer service tips, points, and reminders of what you could do regardless of the industry. While H4 is a training business and they've got several locations, really from a customer service standpoint, it's ubiquitous across any industry, any sector. If you have a customer, these standards and principles will apply for your people and will make you a better business. So I encourage you to follow him. I'll put all of that in the show notes as well. So appreciate you guys being here and listening in today. Hank, thank you so much for being here. So appreciate you, brother.
Todd, my pleasure. And love what you do. We'll continue to follow in your footsteps, hopefully one day. And thanks for being a great mentor, friend, and world-class in everything you do.
Thank you. Man, oh man. Hank Ebeling, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. I honestly feel like I could go on for another 2 hours. I won't. I'll spare you the time. But thank you for letting me in your dome. There's so many questions that stem from customer service, like how do you find good people? How do you keep good people? How do you grow good people? How do you grow great people? How do you consistently deliver great experiences to create raving fans so that you can manifest the community? The culture creates the community. The culture creates the community. All of these things are enveloped within customer service. And that's why I want to share that. Do me a favor. If you would like to hear more on this topic, it's really near and dear to my heart. For 25 years at Fitness Quest 10 and in Todd Durkin Enterprises, I've really treasured and value the importance of a great customer experience. And whether someone is a grandma, grandpa, kid, pro athlete, it doesn't matter. To me, we've got to always make sure we deliver a great customer experience. If you're someone who's ever ordered any of our products online, I hope you had a great customer experience. I tell my team on the TDE side, when they're getting apparel, you're getting a hoodie or a shirt or a book, if we fulfill that, the energy and intention that goes behind every box that we send out, it matters how your energy is when you wrap it, when you ship it. Because if it's wrapped with love, I believe it's delivered with love that's inside of that. I want every box, every kit that's there going out to make sure that you feel the love that goes in there. I believe there's something to that. And I hope that you can feel that. But to me, it's all about that experience. And whether it's a tangible kinesthetic experience, as in a training experience, whether it's a massage or training session, whether it's a customer service interaction, know that it's never transactional. It's always relational. It's always relational, not transactional. So whatever the business that you're in, or whether you do business with some of your favorite restaurants, some of your favorite retail shops, why are they your favorite places? Why is Nordstrom a favorite place of mine? It's the way they made me feel. Why is it the Ritz-Carlton is a place that I love to go back to? I think, by the way, it's time for us to do a retreat again at the Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton, is anyone out there listening? I think we need another retreat at the Ritz-Carlton because of the way they do business and the way they make you feel. It's just great when you visit world-class destination places. We're going to be in Whitefish in April with my mastermind group. Why Whitefish? It's a world-class destination place. But wherever you are in your own community, your city, your state, your country, and you deliver great world-class experiences, guess what? That changes the way people think and operate, just like this podcast. I hope the way that you listen to this podcast allows you to think in a heightened state. I think this podcast is one, as we really, really strive to motivate and inspire you to be the best version of yourself. My hope and intention is that it elevates your energy to operate in a higher place. So, my friend, all about delivering that world-class customer experience in a new economy, a new era, so that you can deliver the experience that you want. Thank you so much. I would love feedback. If you want more topics like this on customer service, and you heard some of my stories of that I didn't like, even though like the Disney experience was funny, like sometimes, you take bad things, you make them good, or that shop I delivered with the tuxedo. We all have these experiences. It's what you do with them that matters most. So thank you. God bless you. Have an incredible day. Peace. God bless. And remember, until next time, every single day, you got to train hard. You got to eat right. You must live inspired and go create impact.